रही है बाबा हम पे आपकी मेहरबानियाँ, प्यार में भीगे अफसाने कहती है जिंदगानियाँ। साथ रहूं मैं, मिट गई सब तन्हाइयाँ, प्यार में भीगे अफसाने कहती है जिंदगानियाँ।
Om Shanti and very good evening. Today we are learning about mind, learning about thoughts and learning about the self, because today's day is to innovate the inner being, and I hope you all are having good experience, good feelings about this subject and these feelings. Are you all okay? Not tired? You have practice of sitting long? You have? Everyone? Sitting and working with that small world. You know, that is the world, but very small, the screen. So, good to hear that you're not tired and you're fresh. So now I invite our respected brother Bala Kishore on stage, and we'll welcome him. We all welcome our respected brother Bala Kishore. Brother Bala Kishore is the Vice President, Better Living Cirrus Technologies, and Cirrus provides new age technology solutions to help redefine the business. Working in this company since January 2018, in IT industry since 1994. Earlier worked at CDAC, Bangalore, on Param Supercomputer and at Silicon Automation System, Bangalore. Brother Bala Kishore is practicing meditation from like his young age, very young age, and he is very good into the understanding of spirituality with technical mind. You know, there's a fusion of science and spirituality, and he's very good into explaining about meditation, about the practical things of life, and as we see him as professionally, so his education qualifications are professional certificate coach and certificate in business administration from Manchester Business School, UK in 2002. And he has received many of the awards. Few of them are British Chevening Scholarship, was one of the 12 IT professionals chosen from all over India for Advanced Management Program for Young Indian IT Managers in 2021. And one more award he has received, like award JRF, that is the Junior Research Fellowship by Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, India in 1993, and many more. So, yes, we can welcome and appreciate his efforts, and he's playing a very special role in IT wing of Brahmakumaris Rajyoga Education and Research Foundation, and he's very active in all his activities and creating new ways and techniques in spirituality and how to impart meditation and spirituality, being an IT professional. So we will now invite Brother Bala Kishore. I invite sisters to welcome brother first. We welcome brother.
Good. Om Shanti. And good afternoon. We all start with a smile. It doesn't cost much. Yeah? मुस्कुराते हैं एक बार. Very good. Rest लिया अच्छी तरह से. क्योंकि body is very intelligent. If you don't give it rest, it knows how to take rest, especially with Brahmakumaris. Good. So today we are going to talk about how to overcome overthinking. As a coach and a counselor in our office, for the last couple of years, I guess, I get these 20-somethings fresh out of college and they complain about overthinking. बाला भाई ज़्यादा सोचने की आदत पड़ गई है, हमें क्या करना है? So how do we overcome this and why do we overthink? That's what we will explore today. Okay, you're with me? Good. So we started with a beautiful meditation led by Varsha Didi and of course our brother David's beautiful music. When you sit in meditation, what happens? Do you breathe fast or breathe slow? Do you think fast or you think slow? You think fast in meditation? Okay. We should meet after the session. Which is fine, there's nothing wrong with it, because for some of them, we are so used to running that when we sit down, we become uncomfortable. So then you start thinking more. There's a very important relationship between thinking, breathing, and aging. The faster you think, the faster you breathe. When you're anxious, you breathe fast or slow? You breathe fast. And when you breathe fast, you age fast. You also must have seen in your friends and family जो ज़्यादा सोचते हैं, बाल भी जल्दी white हो जाते हैं और गिर भी जाते हैं. है ना? Because they start looking very old, because when you think fast, you breathe fast, and when you breathe fast, you also age fast. It's very important for all of us to understand difference between relaxation and stimulation. अच्छी तरह से लिख के अभ्यास करना ये सारी बातें. Relaxation means when you think less and when you think slow. Stimulation means when you think different. 1 घंटा काम कर लिया, अभी WhatsApp देख लेते हैं, Insta देख लेते हैं. That is not relaxation, that is stimulation. That's why even if you spend 2 hours with Instagram or YouTube or Snapchat, do you feel energetic or do you feel frustrated? Be honest. We get frustrated, yeah? We don't feel energetic. Because we are not relaxing, we are stimulating the brain. And a stimulated brain is a weak brain. A stimulated brain, a constantly stimulated brain is a weak brain. And you can control your mind by controlling your breath. That's why that is called as prana, pranayama, ability to control my breath. Because breathing slowly and deeply reduces the speed and the number of thoughts. Just by breathing slowly and deeply, try to think fast. Impossible. Breathe slowly and deeply, try to think negative. Impossible. Because breathing and thinking are very closely related. You want to practice that now? For a few seconds? Sit straight. Both feet firmly on the ground, or you fold your legs, whichever way you feel comfortable. Don't fold your arms. And when you breathe in, your stomach muscles should expand and they should come front. Not the chest, the belly. Okay, yahan se nahi, yahan se. So when you breathe in, breathe slowly and deeply. As you breathe in, observe the muscles of your stomach expand. As you breathe out, observe the muscles of your stomach contract. Breathe slowly and deeply. As you breathe in, your stomach should come in the front, and as you breathe out, your stomach should go inside. Even if your mind goes elsewhere, acknowledge the thought, ignore it. Gently bring your attention back to your breathing. Breathe slowly and deeply. Gently rub your palms and wipe your eyes. So how do you feel? At least a little better? Now this is the easiest way. Most of you are managers, IT professionals. Just before you start the meeting, once you all gather, instead of banging on your laptop, just sit there and do this for 60 seconds. Do some deep breathing so you feel relaxed. Because thinking and breathing are very closely related with each other. Do you know how many years does a tortoise typically live? More than 100 years, about 120 or 120 to 150 years average age. And do you know how many breaths does it take per minute? 2 breaths per minute. That is the secret. If you want to age well, if you want to age slow, learn to breathe deep and breathe slow. Speed and number of thoughts, they are inseparable. Both, if one increases, the other increases. One decreases, the other decreases. They're so closely related with each other. And there is stimulus, something happens, and then there is response. We respond or we react most of the times. And we think that that is how it goes. It is because of my boss I am irritated. मेरी डॉटर इन लॉ है ना, बात मत पूछो, तंग कर देती है. So we think the response is because of the stimulus. But there's something else going on here. How do we interpret the stimulus is what generates the response. Let me give you an example. So there's this father who's going with his kids on a New York subway, Friday evening, and kids are playing a lot, creating a lot of noise. So the fellow passengers who are trying to catch up on their sleep, catch up on their email, they go to the father and say, "Sir, this weekend we are approaching, why are you disturbing us? Why don't you control your kids?" Because they were all irritated. But then the father says, "I'm sorry, their mother just got admitted into the hospital, so I'm taking them to the hospital, and I don't know actually what happened." Now suddenly, the whole group in that train, they become very friendly. Now the stimulus hasn't changed. The kids were still playing, they were still generating the noise, they were still disturbing. But now the fellow passengers started playing with them. It's not the stimulus that causes response, it is how I interpret the stimulus that causes the response. And where does this interpretation come from? Lot of mental algorithms. There are lots of algorithms that run inside here, and most of them outdated. And that is why overthinking. And when we say tanav badti hai, I feel stressed. Stress experience is not because of the event, but because of how I interpret the event. What Varsha Didi was doing the meditation, she used a very beautiful sentence. She said, "I am the master." Now that's what I learned with Brahma Kumaris. When I remember I am the master and I can control my thoughts, it becomes easier to control my thoughts. Smriti se samarthi. When I remember, I become powerful. When I forget, I become weak. So when I tell myself that I am the master, instead of saying mind is a monkey, control nahi hoti hai, ye goda hai, ye kutta hai, billi hai, then you will never try to focus. But if you say I am the master, then it becomes easier. And whatever overthinking we all do is because of those outdated algorithms that are running inside our head. What are those outdated algorithms? We will review some of those. I'll give you some very useful and interesting insights. When you engage a thought, you empower it. Most of us एक के पीछे दूसरा, दूसरे से पीछे तीसरा संकल्प इसलिए करते हैं क्योंकि जो भी संकल्प आया उसको हम एंगेज करते हैं, इग्नोर नहीं करते हैं.
कीर्ति को
इग्नोरिंग इट डिसएम्पावर.
में स्थान देने का ये सुंदर प्रयोजन है. तो हम सभी अपने आप में इन सारी आध्यात्मिकता को धारण करते हुए
but engaging it empowers it. So if you want to stop your waste thoughts, stop engaging them. You see, we engage with our waste thoughts. Oh my God, I got cold, I might have got COVID. Now then the rest of it happens. Because you engage the thought, you don't ignore it. It's just cold, nothing happened. So you stop. No, when you engage it, पूंछ बड़ी होती है ना संकल्पों की, एक के बाद दूसरा आते जाते हैं. So when you engage, you empower. But if you want to become stronger, if you want to stop overthinking, start ignoring your thoughts. And another fascinating thing about our mind is, जो भी संकल्प हमारे मन में उत्पन्न होता है, हम सोचते हैं ये सच है, सत्य वचन महाराज, या सत्य संकल्प महाराज. Because the thought is coming from my mind does not mean it is true. We must learn to ignore waste and negative thoughts by reminding ourselves that I am the master. And when you detach yourself from the event, that detached observation slows down your thinking. Now, is there anyone who's carrying a notebook and a pen by mistake? I need a volunteer. Can one of you take your notebook and come onto the stage, please? Or you can stand. You want to do that? Aye. यहाँ आ जाइए. Very easy. हाँ. Can you start reading? आप पढ़ सकते हैं जो लिखा है आपने? हाँ, जो नोट्स लिखा है वही पढ़िए. हाँ, टेक्निक अभी और थोड़ा नजदीक लाइए अपने बुक को, अब पढ़िए, और थोड़ा नजदीक लाइए, और थोड़ा नजदीक लाइए, कोई बात नहीं, और थोड़ा नजदीक लाइए, और थोड़ा नहीं लाइए, मैं बताऊंगा क्यों कह रहा हूं, और थोड़ा नजदीक लाइए, और थोड़ा नजदीक लाइए, आप पढ़ नहीं सकेंगे कोई बात नहीं, और नजदीक लाइए, नहीं नजदीक लाइए, और नहीं पढ़ना नहीं, सिर्फ नजदीक लाइए, कवर कीजिए अपने बुक से, अपने आंखों को कवर कीजिए. यस, नाउ व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस? इट इज हिज ओन बुक, हिज ओन राइटिंग. व्हाट चेंज्ड when he brought it closer? Why was he not able to read? आप क्यों पढ़ नहीं सके नजदीकी से? करेक्ट. तो इससे क्या सफर हुआ? आपका नाम? प्लीज गिव अ बिग हैंड. थैंक यू. When he brought the book close to his eyes, there is no clarity. Clarity suffered. And when clarity suffers, we won't be able to make appropriate decision. So when he held the book a little away, what did he create? He created space. Space between the book and himself. So when he put the book on his eyes, that is attachment. This is my परिस्थिति, मेरा ही बच्चा है, मेरा ही प्रोजेक्ट है, this is mine only. But when I bring it very close, clarity suffers. Now I start worrying. This is attachment. When I take the book far away, that is dissociation. मैं भाग जाता हूं परिस्थिति से, काम नहीं करेगा. But when I create the space between me and the paristhiti, when I detach, I'm still holding it, I'm still responsible, I'm still accountable, but I create that space, I start detaching myself. So when you detach, it improves your clarity, then you are able to make appropriate decision. इसलिए हमारी संस्कृति में वो डिटैचमेंट के बारे में सिखाया जाता है. मोह क्यों आपकी डिसीजन को खराब करता है? बिकॉज यू लूज योर क्लैरिटी विथ अटैचमेंट. बट वेन यू डिटैच, वेन यू क्रिएट दैट स्पेस, इट इंक्रीजेस द क्लैरिटी. दैट्स द डिफरेंस बिटवीन अटैचमेंट, डिटैचमेंट एंड डिसोसिएशन. It's your project, it's your wife, your kid, your son. Everything remains the same, but you create the space between yourself and the rest of the world, which improves the clarity. That's what spirituality teaches. And how do we detach in any given situation? I'll give you a very simple tool. It's called going to the balcony. Let me tell the story. So there's this couple who go to a dance hall on a weekend, and they start dancing. There are other people who start dancing, and they are stepping over each other's toes, because quite a few, and that was a holiday. So these two people, they ask their fellow dancers, they request, please don't step on our toes. Yaar, aap bhi naach rahe ho, hum bhi naach rahe hain. Ab bar, why are you stepping on our toes? So they say sorry, and then they continue. A few minutes later, again they step over the toes. So these fellows get irritated. So he says, you know, honey, let's just get out of the dance floor and get to the balcony. So when they get to the balcony, they see an entirely different scene. On that day, because there were more crowd, more dancers, each time the dancers were moving onto the VIP enclosure, the security there was pushing them inside. Each time they were pushed, they were stepping over each other's toes. Now, where was this visible from? From the balcony. Not on the dance floor, right? And then they were able to be calm. Now ask yourself, most of the time in your life, where do you spend? On the dance floor or on the balcony? And when we make decisions, when we are on the dance floor, our vision is limited, and on top of it we are dancing, and we don't have time to see the big picture. But when you move to the cognitive balcony, when you detach, you're not leaving the dance floor, you're just going to the balcony. You're not abandoning your dancing. You just go to the balcony. Then what happens? Suddenly your vision expands. And you start seeing the facts. And your overthinking stops. So it's good once in a while to ask yourself, am I on the balcony or am I in the dance floor? It's a very simple question. Because when you go to the balcony, you start developing that detachment. And when you go to the balcony, what happens? One, you start seeing the facts as they are, not how you think they are. There's a difference? And you will also start recognizing the story you are telling yourself. And a lot of times, our pain is because of the story, not the facts. राइट ये ऐसा है, ये वैसा है, ये ऐसा करता है, वैसा करता है. आपने जानने की कोशिश भी नहीं किया और अपनी कहानी बनाने लगे यहां बैठ के. राइट? दैट इज व्हाई दिस इज कॉल्ड एज आध्यात्मिक दुखा. ओके? आधि मीन्स रिलेटेड टू, आत्मिका मीन्स सेल्फ. आध्यात्मिका का मतलब है दैट विच इज रिलेटेड टू द सेल्फ. More than 95% of our sorrow is self-generated because of the story we tell ourselves. So once we go to the balcony, once you stop telling the story, you start regaining your composure and you stop overthinking. Normal times, this is how our brain performs when you're on the balcony. That is, this is the prefrontal cortex or the thinking brain, which is completely normal. But when you get emotional, when you get onto the dance floor, this is what happens. The emotional brain, the amygdala becomes active and our ability to think goes out of the window. You see that? There is no blood flow also to your thinking brain. Now when you move to the balcony, this is what happens when you're on the dance floor. But when you move to the balcony, this is what happens. So this is how, by practicing detachment, you think less, you think slow, and you also think better because you're able to decide better. Think slow, think less, think better. Now that's the neuroscience behind it. Very simple. Negative thoughts, they are always fast. Yes or no? And positive thoughts, they're always slow. It's interesting. Present never causes overthinking. आप कितना भी मेहनत करो, what is present will never cause overthinking. It is either past or future. And if you are depressed, आप बहुत दुखी है, check yourself. It is always about the past because you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you are scared, you are afraid because you are living in the future. But if you are at peace, you are living in the present. So the easiest method is to live in the present. Dinner को क्या करना है, इसके बाद कहाँ जाएंगे, sightseeing जाएंगे. You are here. So sit here and listen. इसके बाद जब बाहर जाएंगे तब आप decision लेना. This is how you tell your mind. Otherwise, you are neither here nor there. So when you are sitting in the present, then you are more at peace. That's what the Chinese philosopher said a few hundred years ago. Very simple, isn't it? So if you're worried, just check yourself. It means you're not in the present. And bring yourself into the present. How do you bring yourself into the present? Start deep breathing. So simple, isn't it? जब आप बहुत anxious हो जाते हो, तो आपका बड़े क्या सिखाया आपको? Relax, sit down, start some deep breathing. Now you know the reason. A lot of dukkha is generated here. It's self-generated. I can change it, provided I remember that I am the master. Because we suffer a lot in our imagination than in actual reality. And any change that you are introducing in your organizations, change causes uncertainty. And brain completely dislikes uncertainty. And that is what leads to overthinking. Take a simple example. You go to your team members or your boss comes to you, say, and he says, अगले 3 महीने तक आपका जॉब है. उसके बाद क्या होगा मुझे पता नहीं. That's it. 3 महीने तक तो जॉब है, 3 महीने आपको पैसे भी मिलेंगे, सब मिलेगा. So that is at least 90 days away. As soon as he says that, what happens? What happens? Are you relaxed? 90 days है यार, देख लेते हैं. नहीं, 90 seconds भी नहीं रुकेंगे. Because that which is uncertainty, brain doesn't like. And it starts creating a lot of overthinking. So if you are overthinking, ask yourself, is there something that I need to decide? Is there something I'm uncertain about? Now a question, do you want your mind to be like a jungle with weeds? Anyone? You want your mind to be like that? Or do you want your mind to be like this? Yeah? Here also? What's your name? Manish? Manit. Okay, good. So Manit, you like this, yeah? You sure? So you don't want this, you want this. Good, we are all with you. Now comes the important insight. Weeds grow on their own. कुछ करना नहीं पड़ता है, वो अपने आप आ जाते हैं. But garden needs maintenance. हम सबको गार्डन चाहिए, लेकिन कितने लोग तैयार है गार्डनिंग करने के लिए? There's no effort, and then we keep expecting a garden to grow, only weeds will grow. What thoughts we create on a daily basis, they result in a weed or a garden growing in our mind. I am creating a weed or a garden with the kind of thoughts I am creating in my mind on a daily basis. What you talk with yourself waters this weed or garden. If I am constantly speaking negative, then the weed is growing. If I am constantly speaking positive with myself, then garden is growing. That's why have you seen your grandmother and grandfather, or if you are lucky to have your great grandmother and great grandfather, it is very difficult for us to make them upset. You saw that their tolerance levels are very high. Their resilience levels are very high because they don't think much. They learn to accept things as they are. And what they speak with themselves is mostly positive. Let me give you an example. Why should I change that self-talk? That adhyatmika dukkha is generated when I constantly keep speaking myself mostly negative. Now you can try this. By default, oh my God, it's the same project again. Last time I goofed up and I'm sure I will fail again. Now that's the default thought. Last time fail हुआ तो इस बार मैं जरूर फेल हो जाऊंगा. आपने किया भी नहीं, मैं आपको पता नहीं बाला भाई, मैं जरूर फेल हो जाऊंगी. Come on, you haven't even started. Just because you failed last time does not mean you will fail again. So instead you replace it. Just because I failed last time does not mean I will fail again. Let me try once again. All things being equal, if I do this self-talk, what happens to my energy levels? कम होते हैं, ज्यादा होते हैं? कम होते हैं ना? If I do this self-talk, will I get motivated or demotivated? Now that's a very important takeaway you need to remember. All things being equal, आप वही हो, एग्जाम वही है, परिस्थिति वही है, लेकिन आप जो उस परिस्थिति के बारे में सोच रहे हैं, उसके आधार पर या तो आपकी एनर्जी बढ़ रही है या घट रही है. Who is having the key? I am the master. Remember. It's better for me to avoid facing many of life's difficulties than to risk failing or being rejected. This is what most of us think. Instead, if I fail or get rejected, I will still accept myself and choose to see myself the way God does. Dadi Janki, the previous head of this organization, many years ago, in one of the classes, she made a beautiful statement. You might want to practice that. What she said was, most of the unnecessary sorrow that we generate for ourselves and most of the craving that we have for the other people to accept us can be eliminated if every day for 5 minutes you see yourself the way God would see you. Very simple. जिस नजरों से भगवान आपको देखता है वैसे रोज आप अपने आप को 5 मिनट के लिए देखना सीखिए बस. Will he come and yell at you? Will he say, stupid fellow, I've been telling this for so long and still you haven't changed? Then will he become God? So how does God see me? Can I see myself with those eyes at least for 5 minutes a day? And see the difference it makes. Someone or something is making me feel depressed and utterly miserable. Very classic example. I am absolutely fine. It's my mother-in-law, you know. If only she changes. It's my boss, you know. If only this colleague changes. It's this project and this client, you know. Everything else, otherwise I'm absolutely okay. No one can make me feel anything. My emotions are the result of my choices. You can write this down. No one on the face of this earth can make me feel inferior without my permission. When somebody says something to you, वो कह के चला गया, आप दुखी क्यों हुए? क्योंकि उनकी बातों को आपने माना ना. मानने की तेल आपने डाला, उसके बाद आग निकली. आप तेल डालना बंद कर दो. Right? I say this to my team members. I say, you're absolutely fine. Even in front of hundreds, you can say, Bala, you're an idiot. But I would only ask, show me the data. Right? Unless you show me the data, it's just your opinion. And you're entitled to your opinion. Just because you said it, it doesn't become truth. I'm happy. You're happy. So I withhold permitting somebody to hurt me because I am the master. Because I don't give my control of my thinking or emotions to you. So when you change this thinking to this thinking, this is what we call as positive self-talk. Then what happens to your energy levels? All other things are equal. Nobody has changed. Neither your boss, nor the client, nor the project. But who changed? I changed. So now you understand why Brahmakumaris say that slogan, Swa Parivartan se Vishwa Parivartan. But typically we say, Vishwa badal jaye to main badalunga. Hone wala nahi hai. So who is changing here? That's important. And how do you change our self-talk? How do I stop this? How do I make it positive? Very simple. I'm going to give you a 4D model, which you can use this at any time in your life. Just remember these 4Ds. The first one is detect. Become aware that this is a waste thought, this is a negative thought. Become aware that I am generating. And become aware that yes, I can change this. So detect. The first D is detect. Second, disrupt. This is called thought stopping. Don't allow it to proceed. Stop it there. Stop it. And third is dispute. Ask for data. On what basis, Bala, are you getting upset? You should ask yourself, because that is self-talk. You didn't even start delivering the presentation and you are already worried that your CEO will get upset. On what basis? Because last 3 times you did well. So why are you again thinking, basis on what data are you getting upset? So dispute. Detect, disrupt, dispute, and then consciously design positive thoughts. Because by default we will only get negative. क्योंकि आत्मा बहुत weak बन गई है ना. So by nature we just get only waste or negative. But when you consciously generate positive thoughts, you start designing a better future. That is positive self-talk. So कई पूछते हैं meditation का मतलब क्या है? It's very simple. Speaking with yourself in a relaxed state with a lot of love is meditation. Easy? Speaking with yourself in a relaxed state with a lot of love. संकल्पों को रोकना मेडिटेशन नहीं है. ये बहुत गलत फहमी फैली हुई है संसार में. उसका कारण भी है. पतंजलि योग सूत्र में फर्स्ट सूत्र में कहते हैं योगस्य चित्त वृत्ति निरोधः. योग का मतलब है मेडिटेशन. चित्त को रॉन्ग ट्रांसलेट किया है माइंड कह के. वो माइंड नहीं है. चित्त इज नॉट माइंड. Chitta vritti, vritti means disturbances that arise. Nirodha means that you stop. तो ट्रांसलेशन में ये फैल गया कि अपने मन के संकल्पों को रोकना ही मेडिटेशन है. आपने कईयों से सुना होगा, when I sit down I think more so I can't meditate. No, that is wrong. How will you know you stopped thinking inside meditation? Assume. हम लेके चलते हैं कि संकल्पों का रोकना ही मेडिटेशन है. आपको कैसे पता चलेगा कि आपने संकल्पों को करना बंद कर दिया है? एक और संकल्प करने से. Impossible, right? It's impossible to stop thinking. So the property of the mind is to think. So we should not stop. What we should do is we should think slow. We should think less, because that is relaxation. And when will that happen? When we start thinking better. That is meditation. So detect, disrupt, dispute and design. And when you start doing this positive self-talk, that is what empowers and relaxes us by giving us more clarity. Lack of clarity is what leads to confusion, and confusion is what leads to overthinking. अगर आपको रसम बनाना है, आपको रसम बनाना आता है, will you overthink? Will you overthink? कोई और सब्जी बनानी है, कोई और स्वीट बनानी है, and you don't know, and you're going to get 50 people and you have to serve it to them, then you will overthink. Morning, you remember all the thinking traps that Girish Bhai taught us? So when you fall into a thinking trap, you tend to overthink. So I'm not going to the details, but I'll just deal with one. Jumping to conclusions. You remember what the examples he gave? I'll give another simple example. You're working with the same boss for 5 years, and you sit just outside his office. Every day before going into the office, he greets you, smiles at you, and then walks into his office. On that day, he neither greeted nor did he smile. He went inside, sent an email. Bala, come and meet me. इतना ही. चालू. तो सडनली आपको याद आ जाएगा, 1 महीने पहले आपने कैफेटेरिया में किसी से सुना है कि अभी डाउनसाइजिंग होने वाली है. हो गया अभी काम. In the past we used to say death and taxes are inevitable. अभी एक और जुड़ गया है. पता है क्या है? एक और जुड़ गया है सभी प्रोफेशनल्स के लाइफ में. डेथ, टैक्सेस एंड EMI. So then you start thinking अभी EMI कौन पे करेगा, बच्चे का स्कूल और हॉस्पिटल, इंश्योरेंस, ये सब चलता रहेगा आपको. Because you start jumping to conclusion thinking that he is going to fire you. और डरते डरते आप अंदर जाएंगे. Then he says the project that you did, it went very well, congratulations, now I am going to give you promotion or bonus. Now then you relax. बंदा पहले ही बोल देता एक स्माइल देके, क्या ये सब जरूरी है क्या? Now he didn't do that, you did it for yourself because of falling into the thinking trap. And whenever you get upset, it's useful to ask these 2 questions. What data or evidence do you have based on which you are concluding that he is going to fire you? What is the data? Show me the data. And are you certain or are you guessing? Very simple question. Very simple question. Are you sure or are you guessing? If you're sure, based on what? Did he say that? Did he give the pink slip? Did he ask you to go? हुआ नहीं ना, तो जाके देखो फिर. So you postpone your sorrow. Is it possible? You postpone your sorrow, and in that gap something beautiful might come out, who knows? And this is where not only should we go to the balcony, we also learn to switch off the projector. ये 6 इंच का पिक्चर है और ये 6 फुट का पिक्चर है, कौन सा रियल है? Right? यहाँ पे this is 19-inch laptop and this is about 5 foot screen. Both are real, right? Because both of them you are able to see. This 19-inch or the 6 inch is becoming 6 foot because of, तो है 19 इंच की, वो परिस्थिति इतनी है, या तो 6 इंच की है या 10 इंच की होगी, लेकिन मेरे मन में मुझे दिख रहा है कि ये 4 फुट की या 6 फुट की है. क्यों? क्योंकि ये मन का प्रोजेक्टर बाय डिफॉल्ट ऑन है. Is it real or is it imaginary? So can I sit and then switch off my projector consciously? अरे बस इतना ही तो है. मैं क्यों इतना सोच रहा था? So when you learn to switch off your projector, your overthinking stops. As soon as you're overthinking about something, ask, is my projector on? Is my projector off? Am I in the dance floor? Am I in the balcony? Very simple questions. Easy? Emotional junk food, it increases overthinking. You all know what is that emotional junk food. Loads of it is in that 6-inch piece of glass and metal, which has become an extension of our body. Yeah? So that emotional junk food leads to overthinking. And emotionally nutritious food helps reduce the speed and number of thoughts. That is why, if you have seen your parents or your grandparents, my grandmother always used to say, the first 1 hour of the day is extremely important. You must have heard that from Shivani Ben also many times. Because she says, after a good night's sleep, she wouldn't know all that science. She would simply say, first 1 hour, this is what I learned from my parents, and my mother learned from her mother, I'm teaching you. It's good. The first 1 hour, you spend with something which is positive and empowering. And for us, usually, either it is performing puja, listening to something devotional, or chanting a mantra. Because all of these are empowering. Something positive, not some junk. Who ran away with whom? Who is wearing which dress? कौन सा movie flop हुई? Social media में कौन सा hashtag चल रहा है? What do I have to do with all that? And that too in the first 1 hour. Now I want to ask each one of you, will you make a promise to yourself that starting today, the last 1 hour before you sleep, you're not going to touch your mobile? या कम से कम लास्ट जो आप दर्शन करते हैं वो मोबाइल की दर्शन ना हो, आंख बंद करने से पहले. ये हो सकता है? वो मोबाइल देवी नहीं है, वो मोबाइल राक्षसी है, ये जान लो आप. तो राक्षसी का दर्शन करके कोई सोता है क्या? नींद अच्छा आएगा? You won't, right? So when you keep seeing the mobile and then sleep, will you get good sleep? We all experienced it. क्योंकि वो राक्षसी है, वो देवी नहीं है. सुबह उठ के मोबाइल देवी का दर्शन नहीं करना. कम से कम ये कर सकते हैं? मुझे पता है कई हैं जो आंखें खुलने से पहले इसके बाद खुलेगा. डोंट डू दिस. वो मोबाइल देवी नहीं है, वो राक्षसी है. वो दिखती है, इसलिए हमारे यहां कौन सा सीखते हैं? विच इज द स्टोरी? वो है भस्मासुर, लेकिन किस रूप में आया? मोहिनी के रूप में आया. तो मोबाइल मोहिनी नहीं है, वो भस्मासुर है. सिर्फ ये याद रखो आप. And this is another very interesting thing. We don't decide very soon, and indecision increases overthinking. करूं ना करूं. पिछले 20 साल से सोच रहा हूं मुझे PhD करना है या नहीं करना है. काश 10 साल पहले शुरू कर देता तो मेरा हो जाता अभी. But you never decided. And many a times, the cost of decision is less than the cost of indecision. जाना है नहीं जाना है, टिकट बुक करना है नहीं बुक करना है. यू कीप थिंकिंग, अरे फ्लाइट चली गई. सो कॉस्ट ऑफ इनडेसिशन इज मेनी अ टाइम्स मोर कॉस्टली देन मेकिंग द डेसिशन. आई एम जस्ट गिविंग यू द many different ways in which we unnecessarily overthink. When you try to impress someone, you start overthinking. पत्ते पत्ते को पानी देने जाओगे ना, पेड़ सूख जाएगी. You can never make the other person happy, forget it. But focus on expressing yourself, and then maybe the chances of they getting impressed increase. But you're so worried about impressing, you forget to express yourself. Right? That impressing is what causes overthinking, but instead focus on how to express yourself. Another big problem. Because we don't like uncertainty, we try to control every single thing. And the desire to control increases the speed and the number of thoughts. And the art of letting go makes you feel relaxed. As soon as you decide, ठीक है यार, वो जो देगा देगा. उसको वेरिएबल पे नहीं करना है, पे नहीं करेगा. अभी क्या करेंगे? बात खत्म. Once you make the decision, you feel relaxed, right? वो देगा नहीं देगा नहीं देगा, क्या होगा, कितना देगा, कम करेगा नहीं करेगा, ये प्रोजेक्ट ऐसा हो गया. लेट गो. ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या जाएगा? 50,000, 1,00,000। अरे इतना टेंशन में क्यों यार? ना खाते हो, ना सोते हो, ना अपनी वाइफ को भी ना खाने देते हो, ना सोने देते हो। क्या होगा, क्या होगा? एंड शी कीप सेइंग, अरे इट्स ओके, वी हैव इनफ मनी, रिलैक्स। नहीं, क्या होगा, क्या? लेट गो। एंड दैट इज व्हाट वी लर्नड, कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते। We have control only on performing the task, not on the result. Right? Very important. When you are worried, it means you are thinking about the result. Result consciousness causes overthinking. It leads to overthinking. Task consciousness, it leads to better efficiency and effectiveness. Because you never think about result, you only worry about the result. But when you start thinking about what you need to do, karmanyeva adhikarasya, my control is only on what I need to do, not what the others are going to think. Now when I prepare for the presentation, I focus on preparing for the presentation. आप सुनेंगे सोएंगे, मेरे हाथ में है? मेरे हाथ में नहीं है ना। आप ताली बजाएंगे या ऐसा ही उठ के चले जाएंगे? I have absolutely no control. आप अंत तक बैठेंगे या बीच में उठ के चले जाएंगे? And if I start worrying about it, बैठेंगे, चलेंगे, उठेंगे, सोएंगे, then I won't be able to focus on what I have to prepare. Result consciousness leads to unnecessary overthinking. We must become task conscious. And disappointment also causes overthinking. And I'll give you a very simple equation which I created based on my own experience in my life. Disappointment is proportional to the square of my expectations. If I want to reduce the disappointment by 9 points, it is enough to reduce my expectations by 3 points. I'm not saying you should not aspire for more. Don't try to misunderstand. Aspiration is different from expectation. Expectation is not based on solid ground. इतना मिल जाएगा, मुझे exceeding expectations grading आ जाएगा, मुझे 5 दे देगा मैनेजर. Now on what basis you don't know, but you start expecting. So you created it and then you mapped, ये 5 का कितना आएगा मुझे बोनस और कितना प्रमोशन आएगा, and then he gives you a 3. Now the reality is 3 only. It was always a 3. But just because you had a 5 does not mean that the 3 is bad. So a lot of our self-generated sorrow is because we don't see the reality as is. That's why we need to control those expectations, then your disappointment reduces. And once there is no disappointment, there is no overthinking. Now I'll share some simple better thinking tools. Meditation for me is servicing the mind. All of you have scooters or cars or a mixie in the kitchen. If you continuously use it, what happens? Even before it breaks down, what happens? It making all sorts of sounds, right? Uske baad dua bhi niklegi. And that's what happens here also. Because we never took care of servicing the mind at all. So meditation is doing that servicing of the mind. And when you service your mind daily, it reduces overthinking. That overthinking is that those sounds that come, that smoke that comes from your scooter or from your car. But if you don't want that, keep servicing the vehicle regularly, keep servicing your mind. And that's why I like to call all Brahmakumaris meditation centers are as mind servicing centers. Okay, you go there, they help service your mind. It's important that we remove the junk. That's what servicing does, right? And when we ask people, they say, Bala, मैं बहुत busy हूँ यार. So you go to a servicing center और उसको ये बोलो, यार मैं बहुत busy हूँ, मैं गाड़ी रोक नहीं सकता, मैं गाड़ी चलाते रहूँगा, आप सर्विसिंग करो. हो सकता है? Is it possible? तो वो आपको देखेगा, सर या तो आप पागल हो या मुझे पागल समझ रहे हो, दोनों ही ठीक नहीं है. You have to stop driving your car if you want the car to be serviced. You have to stop thinking the same nonsense that you think outside once you enter the meditation center, because that is your mind servicing. And that is why we encourage people to visit the meditation center. Now that there is no COVID, at least spend a few minutes, because these are the best mind servicing centers that you get. And a lot of us, unfortunately, in the post-independence education, we have become completely disconnected with our own education and culture. Ye mantra jantar kya hai? We don't even know the meaning. You know why mantra? You are taught mantra at a young age with a guru and then asked you to repeat. Chanting mantra is the easiest way to divert your mind and reduce the speed of your thinking. Have you tried that? Hanuman Chalisa क्यों करते हैं? गायत्री मंत्र क्यों पढ़ते हैं? मृत्युंजय मंत्र क्यों पढ़ते हैं? There is a reason. Today I am going to give you the meaning. Mantra mananat trayate iti mantram. Mananat means जिस चीज को मनन करने से त्रायते means आपको प्रोटेक्शन मिलती है, उसे कहा जाता है मंत्रम. मननात त्रायते इति मंत्रम. इसलिए जब भी आपको मंत्र सिखाया जाता है, यह कहा जाता है कि आप हर दिन इतने बार रिपीट करो. और हम सोचते हैं इसमें इसके पीछे कुछ नहीं है, बहुत कुछ है. बिकॉज द मीनिंग इटसेल्फ इज दैट मननात त्रायते इति मंत्रम. So even if you can start practicing your favorite mantra whenever you are overthinking, you will see the difference. Easy? It's very easy. We can repeat the mantra, right? It doesn't need. As soon as you think that you're overthinking, switch gears. Now this is the best way to do that disruption, thought stopping. Because immediately you will stop that waste thought. क्योंकि आपका मंत्र जपना चालू हो गया. And learn to sit on a blameless chair. Label one of your chairs at home as blameless chair, and the only rule is you should not blame anybody, including yourself. Now think about the solution. The only rule is you're not allowed to blame. Now sit and then think about the solution. See how beautiful solutions come up. A lot of energy gets wasted because we blame others. सबको देखे बैठे हैं, आप दबाओ मैं नाचूं. सबको पता है नहीं है, काम वाली को दे दिया, बाजू आपको रोड पे किसी ने कट कर दिया, उसको अपना रिमोट दे दिया, वो दबाएगा और आप यहां नाचेंगे. लोगों को पता है, स्पेशली बच्चों को और अच्छा पता होता है. If I do this, this is what my mom gets irritated with or dad gets irritated with, and they will do that only. क्योंकि रिमोट देके बैठे हैं ना, अब दबाओ और यहां चालू. Reclaim your remote. Don't distribute it generously. It's your life, your remote. And how do you do that? Whenever a situation comes, usually we think or worry, or most of the time we don't even think, and then we react. But what here, by practicing meditation and relaxation, we can learn is, instead of reacting without thinking, this is what you do. You rethink and then act. Right? And that stops overthinking. When you react, you overthink. You are unnecessarily thinking. But you rethink, sit back. Yes, he said something. Is there any truth in it? He yelled at me. Did I make any mistake? Is that justified? If I did make a mistake, let me correct. If I did not make a mistake, that's his problem. I will sort it out a little later. Now you rethink. And then you act. Then there is no need of इसने ऐसा क्यों कहा, इतने साल से काम कर रहा हूं, इतना भी विश्वास नहीं है, चालू. Because you are not having a conversation in a way that is going to empower you. That is negative self-talk. We saw that. And that's not good. So rethink and act instead of thinking and reacting. Once in a while, press that pause button. Stop. Just relax. Take a couple of deep breaths and then say, now what next? Now this pause button is what we call at Brahmakumaris as traffic control. At regular intervals, every few hours, you have that beautiful 2-minute song that gets played. Because this is how you are consciously reducing the speed of your thoughts. And then that actually strengthens your brain's braking system. A lot of our problems happen not because our accelerator is not good, but because our brake is not good. एक बार चालू कर दिया तो चलता ही रहेगा, चलता ही रहेगा. That break is what we need to make it more powerful. And the way you do that is practicing that breaking every couple of hours a day, just for even 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Now this is another classic. This is the map which you are supposed to explore. And you are not finding a single thing in that locality and you start blaming people. Why is that? Because this is what you are holding. This is the map, or this is the terrain actually. This is the area. And you have the map. And how are you seeing it? And then you are blaming the terrain. यार जो होना चाहिए वो एक चीज भी यहां नहीं है यार. ये मैप में जो दिखा रहा है वो एक भी चीज भी यहां नहीं है. जो वहां है वही मैप में होना चाहिए. जो मैप में है वो वहां नहीं होगा. जो आपका फ्रेंड का संस्कार है वो उसका संस्कार है. जैसे आप सोचेंगे वो वैसा उसका संस्कार नहीं होगा. So what I need to see is the reality as he is. And then if I am not finding it, then I need to check, is my map in line with the terrain or is my map upside down? Or if I fix the map, it's beautiful. The terrain gets automatically fixed. I don't have to do anything. I just have to fix the map. And again, I am the master because this map is with me. I control it. I can't change the terrain. Can you change your boss? Have you found out? We have Manjunath. Were you able to change your boss? But were you able to make him do what you wanted to do always? Impossible. We can't do that even with our kids. So the terrain is terrain. The sooner you adjust your map, the lesser is your overthinking. Some simple reflective questions. We'll do this exercise. Yeah. So, you went to a place, you are exploring it. And to explore that place, you are given a map. ठीक है? लेकिन वो मैप को आपने उल्टा पकड़ा. तो मैप में देख रहे हो, उसमें लेफ्ट साइड दिखा रहा है, यहां पे राइट साइड है. उसमें आगे दिखा रहा है, इसमें पीछे है. तो आप पागल होते जा रहे हो. ये क्या है? ये मैप के हिसाब से नहीं है. लेकिन आपको ये कभी ये मन में नहीं आता है, शायद मैं मैप को उल्टा देख रहा हूं. You will keep blaming the terrain. वो ऐसा नहीं कर रहा है, वैसा नहीं कर रहा है, उसका ऐसा ही करना चाहिए. नहीं भाई, वो ऐसा ही करेगा. आपको बदलना है. You change your map. If you continue to wait, आप मर जाएंगे, लेकिन वो बदलेगा नहीं. Right? So that's the difference between map and the terrain. So few simple questions. We'll practice this. Whenever I feel anxious or upset, this is a simple question I ask. Bala, what are you trying to control? Very simple question. Will we reach the targets at the end of the quarter? We'll see. We'll cross the bridge. I will do whatever I can. But if I start worrying about it, I'm controlling it. And I can't control so many people. I can't control the clients. I can't control the salespeople. I have absolutely no control. What am I trying to control? It's a good question to start with. Yes, somebody raised their hand there. Yeah. सामने है, सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है, सॉरी. मैप का मतलब है माई वर्शन ऑफ रियलिटी. रियलिटी एक है, हकीकत एक है, लेकिन हकीकत के बारे में मैं जो सोच रहा हूं उसका जो पिक्चर है मेरे अंदर, वो मैप है. So I took a map and I'm moving around to see ये कहाँ है. जैसे ये शांति वन है, ये मनमोहिनी वन है. इसका मैप मैं आपको दूंगा, लेकिन आप उल्टा देख रहे हैं. तो गेट यहां नहीं, वहां होना चाहिए, लेकिन आपके मैप के हिसाब से यहां होना चाहिए. तो आप ये मनमोहिनी वन को ब्लेम करेंगे. ये गलत है. ये गेट वहां होना चाहिए, क्योंकि मेरे हिसाब से तो गेट वहां दिख रहा है, लेकिन ये गेट यहां क्यों है? आप ये मानने के लिए तैयार नहीं है कि आपका मैप गलत हो सकता है, क्योंकि वो गेट तो बदलेगा नहीं ना. वो गेट वहीं पे रहेगा, आपको पसंद हो या ना हो. ये ग्लोबल ऑडिटोरियम जैसे आप अंदर आएंगे आपके राइट साइड में ही होगा, लेकिन आपका मैप देखने का गलत ढंग है, तो इसलिए आप देख रहे हो कि लेफ्ट साइड में होना चाहिए, लेफ्ट साइड में होना चाहिए, लेफ्ट साइड. वो लेफ्ट साइड में नहीं है बहन, वो राइट साइड में ही रहेगा. फिर आप इतने अपसेट हो जाते हैं कि ये लेफ्ट साइड में क्यों नहीं है. फायदा है. यही करते हैं हम अपने रिलेशंस में, अपने रिलेशनशिप्स में और संसार में, और अपने जीवन में भी यही करते हैं. जो हकीकत हैं वो मानने के लिए हम तैयार नहीं हैं. Right? That's the difference between map and terrain. Thank you. So what am I trying to control? Every time I become anxious or start overthinking, what am I afraid of losing? बहुत डर लगता है ना, नाम खराब हो जाएगा, पैसे खराब हो जाएंगे, ये लॉस हो जाएगा, वो लॉस हो जाएगा. What am I afraid of losing? Which is causing me so much of tension and stress. Whom am I trying to impress? He is going to give crores of rupees of project. So, I have no control, right? Why should I try to impress? I will try to express. I will learn as much as possible. And if he gets or she gets impressed, they will award the project, but I have no control. So, whom am I trying to impress? What am I anxious of deciding? Right? What am I worried about deciding? And am I trying to change the past? And did I fall into a thinking trap? Let's do this exercise. Is that okay? You ready to do the reflection? Think of something that is currently bothering you. Something that is bothering you. And ask these questions, keeping that situation in front of you. And then see into which group or into which category that worry falls. Try that. It will come from one of these. Anything that is currently bothering you. And if nothing bothers you, fantastic. Take some deep breath and continue to practice it. But if something is bothering you, check the list. And you also have the solution. That's what we discussed. So implement it, then you will become nischint. That's why it said, right? Chinta chiti ka kaam karti hai. Right? वो जलाती है. Because you keep pouring the oil. You stop it. You stop overthinking. फिर आप निश्चिंत हो सकते हो. So just simple set of questions. Just ask yourself. And then do something which will help you overcome. And there are many things which won't change, which we can't control. You just leave them like that. You allow the time to take care. Then automatically your overthinking stops. Okay? You're able to think about something and you saw that it falls into one of these? Yes? Good. So the summary is very simple. Learn to think less. Learn to think slow. Learn to think better. And that you need to do consciously. Practice. Practice. Baar baar karo. This is both the means and the goal of meditation. Because when you sit in meditation, this is what you do. You think less, you think slow, you think better. And you do that consciously. And that is what relaxes you. And that's what empowers you. Because you remind yourself about your own capabilities. Smriti se samarthi. Okay. Good. Does anyone have any question? Yes, brother. Yeah, if anyone has questions, it's easier if you can please come forward. Yes, brother. How to express? Yeah, express ourselves. What I mean by that is focus on you doing your job well. That's what I meant by express. Suppose say you are writing a piece of code. If you're a programmer, then focus on writing the piece of code. Don't worry about whether it will pass the QA test, whether it will pass the QA gate or not. Focus on what you're doing. Not about impressing your boss that I have delivered the code 2 दिन पहले और 3 दिन के बाद वो फिर वापस आ जाएगा 6 दिन के लिए. Focus on doing your job well. Don't worry about what others are thinking about you. That is impressing. Expressing is focusing on what you're doing. Because when you focus on what you're doing, the chances of they liking what you're doing increases rather than worrying about what they will say. वो तो अपने कंट्रोल में नहीं है. The first question. तो जो चीज अपने कंट्रोल में नहीं है उसके बारे में सोच के क्या करेंगे? कोई समझदारी है? Sister's question is daydreaming and overthinking same? If your daydreaming is not leading to something concrete, very soon it will become overthinking. Because you will start worrying about it. कुछ होता नहीं है, आप सिर्फ सोच रहे हो बैठ के. And if you are happy with that, welcome to the party. Welcome to the party. अगर वो आपको इतनी खुशी देती है, now this is a trick the mind plays, right? Very interesting trick that we play. अच्छा प्लान बनाते हैं, नेक्स्ट वीक से मैं रोज सुबह उठूंगा, योग भी करूंगा, ब्रह्मा कुमारीज के पास भी जाऊंगा, अच्छा खाऊंगा, सबके साथ अच्छा बात करूंगा, शांति से रहूंगा. 1-1 घंटे का प्लान बनाते हैं और इतना खुश हो जाते हैं, कितना खुश हो जाते हैं, देखो प्लान बना दिया. Because your brain is tricking you that your planning is equal to doing. It is not. It's only a plan. You did not get any benefit out of it. So that is another big thinking trap. So don't fall into it. Right? Visualization minus hard work is wishful thinking. Visualization plus hard work is equal to success. That you have to decide. Okay? Good. Good question. You are saying you are distributing the messages. What kind of messages? Okay. There is a lot of technology that you can use where, like, if you take Google, you can even schedule the email and then send it to all of them. There are many applications which you can use technology, use your laptop rather than mobile. There are many paid apps also that will help you do this work. एक बार दबा दिया हो गया, बार बार आपको करने की जरूरत नहीं है. That's where we should use technology. You should ask yourself that whatever I am facing, am I the only one unique in the world who is facing this problem, or is there somebody else? Now this is another ego we have, right? दुनिया में किसी को भी ये problem नहीं है बाला भाई, सिर्फ मुझे ही है. But in reality, you are not the only one. In 7 billion people, there are so many people who are facing the same stupid problem, and somebody has already solved it. So can we use that solution? So don't, please don't mind, because I'm going to be a little, and honesty is seldom sweet. You might feel that it is harsh. There is no reason for us to justify our mobile usage or digital usage beyond a point. There's no reason. It's just a justification. Okay? Good. Thank you. Very good question. How do we draw the line between detailed analysis and overthinking? I'll introduce you with 2 words. Samasya Swarup, Samadhan Swarup. If your detailed analysis is taking you towards the solution, it's good. But if your detailed analysis is keeping you stuck in the problem and you're not going anywhere, that becomes overthinking. Let me give you an example. Why am I waking up late? Wrong question. You can give 1,000 reasons to justify. ये है, वो है, और आप बोलते बोलते आपके बॉस को गंगा यमुना भी आ जाएगा. But it doesn't help. The question you should ask, or you should, if you are a manager, you should ask your team member is, how can I wake up early? बदल गया ना? Instead of asking why am I coming late, why am I waking up late, you should simply ask how can I come early. All those reasons become irrelevant. मुझे क्या करना है, आपको क्या करना है, आपको टाइम पे आना है. कितने रीजन से आप लेट क्यों आते हो ये मुझे नहीं सुना है. Let's discuss solution. समाधान स्वरूप. So if your analysis is taking towards solution, that's good. But if your analysis is keeping you stuck in the problem, that's overthinking. Correct. 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 It's very simple. Every time, you know that, right? You become aware now. Whether it is in your control or it is not in your control. At least that little knowledge we have. Minimize all those things which are not in your control. You're sending it. It's good. We should have that positive expectation. Otherwise, the world won't work. If I'm going in my lane on the road, I expect others also to go in their lanes. That is okay. But once in a while, if that doesn't happen, there's no point in me breaking my head for something the other person is not doing. Right? What is in my control? And what is not in my control? If you break your head about what is not in your control, that's when the disappointment results.
Om Shanti.
Yes.
This may be the last one.
Last question, because
Yes.
we have the next session.
Yes.
Now, you three choose who's going to ask.
Thank
No
you.
overthinking. So, you three choose who is going to ask the question. So, is it okay? Nischint, आप बैठिए. Because आपने decide किया, तो only she will ask. Yes, sister. Correct. That's what I shared with the brother. Every time your rethinking is moving you closer to the solution, that's how you check. Is it solving your problem? Is it moving you closer to the solution? Then that is good. But if it is keeping you stuck in the problem, then that becomes overthinking. Because you're not going anywhere. You're trying to analyze why you are waking up late. Is it any use? No use. Because it's not solving your problem. Instead, you ask a different question. You rethink. How can I wake up early? Absolutely. There are lots of different ways, lots of new avenues open up by rethinking. That's why we said rethink. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sleeplessness is connected to overthinking.
Thank you, Brother Bala Kishore, once again. I can understand the session went very, very, very well, and now we are not the overthinkers. We are all meditators, Raj Yogis. ना हम अपने आप को कहते हैं हम राज योगी हैं. It's a beautiful balance in life. Raja plus yogi. I'm the self-sovereign and I'm the renunciate yogi. Yogi माना जिसका सब कुछ सेल्फ कंट्रोल में है, नियंत्रण में है, संयम में है, और वही ओवर थिंकिंग को कम करता है. द ब्रदर वाज एक्सप्लेनिंग वन थिंग एट द एंड ऑफ द सेशन कि मैं क्या बनना चाहती हूँ. आई वॉन्ट टू बी द पार्ट ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम और आई वॉन्ट टू बी द पार्ट ऑफ द सॉल्यूशन. तो आई एम राजयोगी. राजयोगी का मतलब ये नहीं कि हम सब छोड़ के चले जाएं. राजयोगी इज़ द कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ बीइंग इन हाउस होल्ड एंड बीइंग द योगी, प्रैक्टिकल योगी. तो पार्ट ऑफ द सॉल्यूशन. क्या, क्यों, कब, कहाँ, कैसे क्वेश्चंस में न जाकर के हम आ जाएं आंसर्स पर, समाधान पर, सॉल्यूशंस पे. नाउ व्हाट, नाउ हाउ आई कैन डू दिस. इसके लिए हम एक प्रैक्टिस करते हैं ब्रह्मा कुमारीज में. हम उससे कहते हैं फुल स्टॉप, अप्लाइंग फुल स्टॉप इंस्टेड ऑफ क्वेश्चन मार्क. What is easier? Full stop is easy or question mark is easy? On paper, full stop is easy. In mind? In mind? Now we have to make it easy in our mind also to apply full stop. So once again, thank you, brother. And now I have, before we go for next session, I have few announcements. आज हमारा शाम को अभी एक सेशन रहेगा. सिस्टर अरुणा लाडवा विल टेक दैट सेशन. इट विल बी इन द गार्डन after the break, and it will be like creative meditation part 1, and that is we call is meditation lab. That will be very entertaining and very like active session we will have. और उसके बाद में straight after the session we all have to gather here once again. फिर से आ जाइएगा, हम कहीं और जाएं उससे पहले अपने इसी हॉल में. एंड हमारे पास ब्रह्मा कुमारीज में हमारे जो फाउंडिंग फादर थे ब्रह्मा बाबा, तब से प्रारंभ से ही हमारी एक विधि है ब्रह्मा बाबा के दिल से और इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में कि जो यहाँ आता है हम कहते हैं दिस इज़ माय फादर्स होम. आपके फादर का घर है ये? Yes, yes, this is our father's home. परमात्मा God is my father. तो पिता के घर आते हैं तो ज़रूर कुछ गिफ्ट यादगार लेके जाते हैं. तो बाबा की, हम इसे बाबा का घर कहते हैं, बाबा माना फादर. तो बाबा के घर से हम सभी को ईश्वरीय सौगात, डिवाइन गिफ्ट मिलेगी, यादगार. हम कुछ यादगारें अपने साथ ले जाएं. तो आज उस सेशन के पश्चात सभी यहीं पर गैदर होंगे. वी विल रिसीव आवर गिफ्ट एंड देन ओनली वी विल गो फॉर द डिनर. एंड आफ्टर दैट वी विल हैव अनदर स्मॉल सेशन एट द एंड ऑफ द डे एट 8:30 इन द इवनिंग. सो भोजन करके आ जाइए. शॉर्ट सेशन होगा. ब्रदर डेविड विल टेक दैट सेशन. तो वो ज़रूर आइएगा. और अब जब आएंगे यहाँ पर गिफ्ट्स लेने, आई थिंक यू हैव द बैज. हर एक के पास है, सभी के पास. यदि पॉकेट में रखा हो तो लगा लीजिएगा. ओके, 2 minutes, just 2 minutes silence. Sit straight. If you want, you can close your eyes and think. Create a thought.